Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to try to figure out why YouTubers keep talking about WeBull. The quick answer to that though is money. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and hopefully I'll see you guys next year. All jokes aside, we will look at it from the perspective of viewers, the creators, and why it might be a perfect storm, and also the competitive landscape. Big favor though before we dive into it is to give this a thumbs up. It doesn't cost you anything, and also you don't have to sign up for it. And if you do like this behind the scenes look on YouTube and how all these things work, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. I'm going to keep this to once a week, and if you do have any suggestions, leave them down below. For viewers right now, it breaks into two different areas: the current environment as well as incentives. For the environment, there's actually a lot going on here, so one of them is going to be FOMO. This is the fear of missing out. A lot of people didn't end up buying the dip when we had that V-shaped recovery, in the short term at least, and they saw their friends making something like 30, 50, or even 100% back on that purchase. Wow, it's that easy? I guess it is. Beat the Bush is a pretty good example of this, where he ended up buying the dip and then he sold recently. So a lot of people see these gains and they're like, I also want to be a part of it. Being a bit more data driven about it, we have seen the search term for buying stocks increase by 466%. There's definitely been a lot of people looking to start investing, so platforms like WeBull end up playing a pretty big role. Number two is going to be gamblers, and you notice me smiling because I think it's such an interesting circumstance. There's currently this thesis that a lot of people who would previously be in the casinos or doing sports betting are no longer doing that, and they're doing either options trading or just stocks trading or some other derivative stuff. The reason for that is because they're looking to get their fix and there's nothing else out there. I wouldn't be surprised if the people who were previously playing slots are now doing penny stocks, and the people who were previously doing sports betting are now doing options. Instead of betting on the over and under of a sports line of how much a team scores, they're looking at that for the earnings of a company. What's the expectation? Is it going to be over or under? And then what do they want to bet? Third one is going to be the stimulus check, and the reason for this is because a lot of people who might not need it for their daily lives are figuring out how to invest that. A bit of this ties back into the gambling part as well as the investing part. They want to turn that $1,200 into $2,400 or $3,600. In terms of incentives, there's two different things you're looking to do on your end as a viewer. You're looking to maximize your upside while minimizing your cost and your downside. For that, I'm going to give props to the WeBull marketing team because I think they played everyone like a fiddle. You can get a stock valued up to $1,400. The fact that they have such a high ceiling, even though it's unlikely, means that people are going to go for it. The other part of it too is that their platform offers you 2 free stocks instead of the other ones that are offering you 1 stock. So they're kind of winning on both sides. We will talk about expected value a bit more later on in the video, but right off the surface in terms of marketing, they're doing a good job. In terms of cost or downside, there's not really a cost. You're putting in $100, but you have the ability to get that back, and you're not purchasing anything. You're pretty much trading your time to download this app in order to get these 2 free stocks. One final thing they've been pretty good with is creating urgency. So the promotion for 2 free stocks was supposed to end on May 11th, and it actually stopped for a few days, and then they ended up extending it until May 30th. The fact that you don't know whether in June it's going to be 1 stock or 2 stocks make it so that you want to sign up. On my end, I end up pushing it because they send me emails telling me that it's ending and they're not sure whether they're going to extend it, and I want to make sure that you guys are getting the best offer. On that note, if you are someone that wants to sign up for WeBull, I don't think I need to sell it that hard because I just explained all the benefits. If you do want to support the channel, link is going to be down below, and if that is gone, I'll put some other links for other brokerages that you might also want to try. Probably the easiest way to support the channel, and let's dive back into it. Let's look at it from the perspective of a creator. So I can't speak for everyone, but from my ends and also on the end of a lot of other creators that I talk to, ad revenue in the personal finance space is down by about 40%. That's not too much of a surprise because people aren't really bidding on the credit card ads as much as they were in the past. A lot of the people who previously did that were Credit Karma as well as NerdWallet. This ties into number 2, the fact that affiliate links for a lot of issuers have been suspended. So NerdWallet, Credit Karma, and a lot of these other companies that typically do bid on these ads don't have an incentive to because they're not going to make money from it. One thing that I've been pretty careful with is to make sure that I still talk about and recommend cards that, even though I don't get paid for, make sense for you guys. A pretty good example of this is the US Bank Altitude Reserve card. I've recommended it to people and I've put it in my list of cards to get after Chase and before American Express, but they've never paid me a dime. The third part of all of this is that Amazon ended up capping their affiliate program. In the past, creators ended up getting 1 to 10% of the transaction as long as you ended up using their links. It's kind of a cookie system, so it's not necessarily you buying a specific product. It's if you end up using their link and then you end up buying a product afterwards. So I could link you to a camera, but if you end up buying dog food, I end up getting that 1% transaction from the dog food. This is actually how a lot of tech creators end up making most of their money. I believe Sarah Dietschy either did a video or a post on Twitter about this, talking about how she makes substantially more through Amazon versus YouTube. Same thing for people like Elliot Choi, who ends up using a lot of copywritten music in his videos, so he doesn't really make as much money from ad revenue, but he does have those Amazon links. To an extent, this ends up being the perfect storm, and this is why you have a lot of creators who were previously doing a lot of different topics, now focusing on investing. Talking about investing means that you can talk about WeBull and also the other apps early, often, and also throughout the whole video. You've also had a lot of credit card creators end up becoming stimulus ones because that's where the money is right now. For me, that's why I've ended up talking about WeBull in a lot of my videos on Ask Sebby, because it's one of the good revenue streams that still exist. On the creators end, there's probably two things that you're curious about. Is it because there's not a lot of other deals, or is it because WeBull ends up paying the most? So I can't speak for everyone, but on my ends, per business day, so Monday to Friday, I get about 5 to 20 proposals for different deals. This can range from direct-to-consumer products, stuff like to poop coins or altcoins, as I would like to call them, to other crypto platforms, to different other credit card products that might not make sense, all the way to luggage and stuff, because I have done those videos in the past and I guess it indexes, and those creators or those platforms that are selling those things end up emailing pretty much everyone in that space. On my end, it's not a lack of deals, it's more so a lack of deals that make sense for Ask Sebby. So yes, I can talk about Box, but how does that relate to this? Factor in that I don't have a dog right now, so is that really a genuine recommendation, or am I doing that solely for money? I do want to get a dog in the future, but it's not something I have right now, so how do I really speak to that experience? Thinking about it though, it does make sense to technically have a new advertiser every day, just because people who do want to support the channel probably already signed up for WeBull. It is something that I'm looking to do in the future, but I need to make sure that it makes sense and that it's something that I'm comfortable standing behind. For me, if it's something that I wouldn't recommend to a friend or to myself, it's not going to be something that I recommend for you guys. Second assumption is that WeBull ends up paying the most. They do pay pretty well, but it's definitely not the best. If you really wanted to get the money and probably destroy your community at the same time, you would end up going for poop coins or other altcoins, just because there's definitely a lot of money there. Just to clarify, crypto is not bad. I really do think the blockchain is going to change a lot of things, but there's definitely a lot of sketchy products out there or other projects out there that I feel like don't make sense. DTC ones, so the direct-to-consumer ones, tend to be lower for me given how my channel ends up being a bit more niche and the views aren't as high and sub count is also not as high. If I had a stimulus channel, I could probably get pretty good deals because those get a lot of views, and a lot of the DTC people tend to focus more on views. Side note, I did end up turning down a 6-figure deal at some point. Let me know in the comments down below if it is something I should cover in a future video. The final thing that we're going to cover is the competitive landscape, and WeBull does a pretty good job to stand out. Like we mentioned before, the fact that you're getting 2 free stocks instead of 1 sounds a lot better. The fact that you can get up to $1,400 instead of getting a known $10 also sounds a lot better. Even for people who are comfortable doing math and who like to crunch the numbers like me, looking at the expected value, so this is what you can get with the probabilities of getting them, this is also a better offer. I talked about this in another video on Ask Sebby, but you're looking at about $30 in expected value compared to something like $10. Looking at the big picture, they're also in a pretty good spot because there's not a lot of other good places to put your money right now. Real estate is one option, but there's a lot of concern right now about decreases, especially on the commercial side. If remote work ends up being a big movement, we're going to see decreases on the residential side as well. So that's real estate. In terms of saving accounts, interest rates are very low, so it doesn't really make sense either. Crypto as well as gold are interesting picks if you are worried about inflation or stagflation, but a lot of people also aren't comfortable touching them. One of the other choices left is going to be equities, so stocks. By buying that one share, you might own 0.00001% of Disney, but it's still that ownership amount. Yes, it can definitely go bankrupt, but of the options that most people have, it's probably the best risk-adjusted return. Main takeaway from all of this is that I think WeBull is in the perfect storm, and the only thing that can make it even better is if they ended up doing some tax cuts to capital gains. And it looks like that is something that might be considered as well. On that note, if you do want to try WeBull, we do have a link down below. If you are someone that wants to support the channel, we do have links to other platforms as well, so I'd recommend trying a few of them and seeing which one you like. Similar to a car, you do want to test drive it to see if you actually like it. My question for you guys is, what are your thoughts on this? And if you are someone that likes this channel, let me know down below in the comments what other topics you want to see. Feel free to give this a thumbs up and share this with anyone else who might be interested, but otherwise, hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time.